All right. Wonderful. So we're going to start our meeting. Today I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 4:07 p.m. Unfortunately, Jillian cannot be here with us today. However, she does send her regret. I'm going to look to the committee just to do some brief introductions. My name is Carly Cornish-DeKale. I am the deputy clerk for the township. We do have some other township staff with us here today.
Chris Allison, this way, John Paulus, retired. Friend of the trail.
I'm Dave D'Agostino, third president, former Trails Committee member.
Rob Jackson, former Trails Committee member.
Gary Wool, second year on the trail committee.
Meredith Burr from the Conservation.
Kurt Kilsley, president of former committee member.
And Ray McDonald, over president, and
Lance Snapshot, Ward 3, over counselor, and cited new.
Cindy Beebe, clerk for township council.
All right. So just going to share the agenda with them. If I can please get a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
And any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. We do not have any closed session at this time. We'll start our meeting with committee orientation. Welcome for those of you who are new, and also thank you for returning for those of you who are back. We do have just our general orientation, but if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Included in the agenda is the Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee Terms of Reference. This outlines roles, responsibilities, procedures. What is not covered in the Terms of Reference, we refer to our procedural bylaw number 2023-08. And then from there, we also have our accessibility, understanding accessible customer service brochure. And Bill 168, respect in the workplace, violence and harassment policy. We do have to take time to review these. They were circulated ahead of time, so you may have already had a chance to review. But again, any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. If I could please get a motion from the committee that the committee orientation for the Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee be received for information.
So moved.
Was there any questions? All right, so now we're moving on to the election of our officers for the Millbrook Valley Trails. We have a chair and a vice chair. We're going to do two separate motions, starting with our chair. So if I could get a motion from the committee to appoint a chair member for the term of this committee.
I nominate Rob Jackson.
All right, so could I please get a seconder, formal seconder? And can I just be a show of hands? Wonderful, thank you.
You're doing such a great job, Robert.
Wonderful.
Sure, John.
And for vice chair, can I please get a motion from the committee for a vice chair? Or if anyone's interested, please feel free to nominate yourself.
Well, I look on three.
I was gonna say reluctantly, maybe the closest you got.
Okay, well, who's gonna go? Well, I guess we can't nominate. Can you defer vice chair until next meeting with all full committee members?
I think to be fair, if I can speak in here, Jillian is the first time member, so I think to be fair, I think maybe one of our senior members, it's not fair to invite her to the first meeting and say, by way of. So I think to be fair, if one of our senior members wanted to step up to that appointment. Rob, you're very blessed as the chair of the majority of your meetings.
Yeah.
That's meant that that will be here to assist you, but I think to be fair, I don't think we should leave that.
Can I nominate her?
And show of hands. Thank you.
We're always here to guide.
Absolutely. All right, so then at this point, I will turn the meeting over to our chair, Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Very much. Okay, we've all got the 2022 meeting schedule in front of us. Thanks very much for putting that together. Minutes. We have the minutes of our meeting held September 26th and minutes of our meeting held October 20th. Memory serves, October 20th was the quote unquote emergency meeting to discuss the closing of bridge, which is why we're reviewing those notes at this time. Is that correct? Yeah. I'm just pressing why we have minutes from September and October.
Oh, sorry about that. There was a time. So the minutes from September are included in this package because the meeting that occurred on October 20th, because it was a special meeting, they did not include minutes from our previous meeting. However, just for the committee, although some of you may not have even been here for the September 26th, we do just want to make sure that we receive those minutes as a committee, and then they will be forwarded on to council. So it would be one motion to receive September 26th and October 20th meeting minutes. If there is any questions on the minutes.
October was the meeting of it.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, does anyone have any questions, concerns, edits on meetings for September 26th? Or the meeting minutes of September 26th? No, we have a motion to accept those. Last, seconded by Marie, all in favor? Okay, anyone have any questions, concerns, edits for the meeting minutes of the meeting held October 20th? So,
Go on, better not.
This is just a bit of a formal process to make sure.
yeah, okay, you, Lance, seconded. Gary, all in favor? Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to reports, financial report.
All right, wonderful, thank you. As you may be aware, we did just go through our budget process, and so the numbers that were approved through the budget process for the Millbrook Valley Trails Committee, the operating budget for materials and supplies is $4,800, and the budget for contracted services is $1,500. So very similar to last year. And so that will be our budget that we're working within for this year, 2022.
So that has been approved, or that goes?
That was approved. So this is our final budget,
4,800 and 15.
50. And if the committee could please give us a motion to accept the report.
Any questions on that? I have one, and it relates to something I wanted to add to the agenda that I didn't see. Just on the floating bridge, as per the October meeting minutes, which is approved. We have budget for that. There's no more money needed. Funding, all that sort of stuff.
No, I didn't know,
So it will not need to reach into any of this money for that. Okay. And is it an appropriate time to ask what the status is of?
status is, as of this Wednesday, we will be moving the bridge in, taking the old bridge out, we should have it installed by Friday.
All good.
And then any weather permitting in the spring, any typical, will be back to the job.
Okay, wonderful. Is there anything that MVT members need to do?
No, yeah, there's They're gonna put, let's say, they're gonna have to move a couple little trees that way, 6 foot path. They're gonna do it with as little impact on the trail as possible.
They going through the trail or up through the creek?
They're going through that.
Straight in.
Are the trees be purposed?
Most of it is just, there's broken trees down on the side of trees that have been cut off, so I just gotta move some stuff out of the way. Or it's just trimming a branch here and there, full trees, just no full trees.
Okay.
Anybody have? Sorry.
Curious on what the ground when it will improve in terms of just how they get it in there.
So they're using Nargo, so the biggest thing was they were trying to get weather this winter, so they needed lots of snow and they needed cold, which we haven't got, and we're getting down to the crash now, so. We got snow. Lately, supposed to get a bit more tonight, so it's, we want to get it. Yeah. So it'll be an Nargo, it's maybe so because it is such a remote location, and it's so far in, so we'll get it.
If I come in from Dial Line, like there's a couple of very narrow bridges that take
So there's no real bridges coming in from Zion Line. There is a spot where they cross where the creek is washed out of the trail, they bring in steel clamps to just set it up.
That's right.
Was that area taking that spot? Yeah. Yeah, so they're gonna bring in the proper equipment to get across. Yeah.
Is it coming in, it's just, the bridge is pre-built?
It's all in 8-foot chunks. Yeah, so they're all 8-foot pieces, they're all attached together, 128 feet long. Oh.
And just to remind me, is the decking, is it aluminum decking or cedar decking on the
It's aluminum frame with pressure.
pressure treated? Okay. Now, has it been, I think, we went through this back in the fall, but it's been designed in such a way that the pressure treated decking can obviously be replaced. It's just screwed in and bolted, or you don't know.
They have like a capping system that goes over top of it. It screws on, so this thing
Like the docks.
Yeah,
Because
it's really, it's a full stock.
It's a dock, yeah. So, and for those of you who weren't here, RNJ machine. It's
RNJ machine.
Who built the biggest, I think now the second biggest employer.
Yeah.
Anyway, they do all the docks. Yeah, very similar. Aluminum truss and pressure treated, which is fine.
So basically, the framing will last forever, not 20 years down the road, stay picking up where it's right now, where it all has to be replaced. So the pressure treat actually lasts longer than cedar nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be replacing the tank.
And the pressure treat, as you know, the pressure treated within a few months of programming.
Yeah, and it's ground mounted.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and is it actually floating? Floats?
No, it's full stop.
It's, yeah.
So it's gonna do the DOS water line. Yeah, so the first 10 when you cross would be a little slope up 8 feet.
Is that going so it can be lined up?
Yeah. Yeah, so if there is an issue, you can always just go in and there's a couple holes.
What do the side wheels look like?
Side rails are, so there's posts gonna be up all the way along, and then there's gonna be 3 cables running. This is something up.
So, yeah, instead of chain, like which we have now, cables.
Yeah.
Stainless steel or aluminum cable.
Stainless steel.
Great.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that this was no small project. I think it's been a long time in discussion. A lot of parties involved, Chris for coordinating the committee for allocating funds that we wouldn't have had, Orca for the permitting process. So I think it's a really special project, and I think it'll be nice to see it become complete, and we can certainly add an update on the bridge and maybe some pictures for the next meeting for the committee as well.
Yeah, and so one of the things I wanted to discuss tonight was, how we dedicate it, or what we do to do recognition. Which will obviously we'll probably have to wait till spring until people can get out there easier, but we can start for.
That's a great idea. We can add it under 10.4 for your next
For next
agenda. And we can start thinking about that. That's what we-
And get more detail.
I'm sorry?
A media launch in addition, ribbon cutting or.
Yeah, well, I think once it goes in Wednesday, we can discuss, we can get some pictures of Karen and that sort of thing. But I think maybe when the weather is a bit better, we can talk about what we need to do, plaque up, do we, as some of you, most of you around this table will know, the last time we built the bridge, we dedicated. I believe it's the county. So, not that we need to do that this time, but I think obviously there should be some recognition from all parties involved, and township obviously. Yeah, thank you very much, Chris, on behalf of us for all your coordination on that. It wasn't easy. But yeah, we're looking forward to seeing it.
The potential with the removing of the old bridge that we could repurpose any of that materials to make a bench or.
You know, all of that materials.
It's all just basically.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't even seen, like, they do have it out. That's all right. I'm not sure how they should get it.
Yeah, I mean, Chris and I went and looked at the fall and with building inspector. And I mean, maybe some cedar decking, but we've got lots of cedar decking and it's probably not worth the effort. I mean, there's the chain, but we don't really use chain. The township can use the chain, it's fine. There wasn't a lot to say.
Yeah, like pontoon and all that.
Yeah.
It's part of the contract to actually truly take out.
Yeah, it was designed as sort of, I mean, it was, we've been talking about it for years. It's a big project for a volunteer committee. So it was really designed as, like completely hands-off, so charity. Which is nice. To have those every now and then.
Do you think part of the recognition should be to Bear and Callan as well for?
Well, exactly, yeah, because most, if not all, of the money came from. We had been looking, that donation was made pre-COVID. Because of COVID, we were, took a while to say, well, to be able to do anything at all. So yes, I think that'll be part of the recognition.
I know it's new, it was one of my suggestions, whether I'm taking full responsibility for it, but we've introduced land recognition at the beginning of each council meeting that we have. Maybe when the time comes that we look to invite, some representative from First Nations to our ribbon cutting ceremony, maybe incorporate acknowledgement of that in plaque or, wordage as well to, other than we may decide to do that. Look on township.
Yeah, we can get all council to come. That'll be great. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Mary, did you have?
I just wanted to thank the members of the committee and the township for being supportive with our staff too.
Yeah, I would like to thank you.
Was somebody over on Wednesday? Or maybe it's
I don't know, you tell me I wasn't aware of the schedule until now.
maybe I shouldn't ask that.
No, I don't think.
Okay, I'll let Don know when he gets the question he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sorry to divert. Oh, sorry.
Was to ask since that trail is closed because of the bridge, when does the trail reopen? Do we reopen immediately or?
We can maybe discuss that for 10:23.
Okay.
Yeah, what we need to do to, because I'm not sure, Dave, that trail is. There's a lot of damage past the floating bridge, which can't really be addressed with the snow right now, right? Especially if they're in the north. Yeah. And I mean, it's been closed for over a year, people are still walking. It's officially closed on the township side, but yeah, we need to discuss how. I mean, I think that's, one of our number one priorities.
Well, we did reopen it after work day last spring. Repair as much as the board wanted we could, but I do agree, probably not.
But then the township officially closed the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whichever, whatever damage over. Boardwalk, we're not actually expecting a bridge over on an arc, so.
Yeah,
Any
everything
people
needs,
will have to-
Yeah.
so it's a little once.
One quick and final question, in terms of the actual piers, I assume they just have a wide base?
Yeah, so it's got a foot on top of it,
Can you still be there?
yeah.
There's gonna be something there.
But that's all gonna be taken into account on the level of there. and stuff.
Yeah, it's all made for that, I mean.
Okay. All right, so a bit of a digression from the financial report, but does anybody have any other questions regarding the financial report? No, okay, we need a motion to approve the $4,800 and $1,500 under budget. John, seconded by Lance, all in favor? Great. Okay, update, Mary.
To you, sure. As you're aware, our tree seedling sales are currently in process, so we can certainly place your orders during the meeting if you like. For your volunteers, I can check it for you. To get that set up for you, but yeah, we've have a couple hundred orders already. So we're getting a good response. Our office is open to the public. Some of our staff are still working remotely part of the time, so if you do need to speak to anybody, probably best by phone or email, and then you can set up a. If you do need to see anyone. We're in the midst of putting together our watershed report card. Some of you will be familiar with that in 5 years. We're putting that together. Will be launched on the World Water Day, which is March 22nd. And we'll certainly make copies available to committee members. Like electronically, start our water sampling in April to the snow and ice to melt. And we do have a new staff person right now. Our watershed biologist is on leave. We have our watershed biologist now. So if you do have any questions, you're always welcome to go through me, or I can connect you directly again. There are any questions that we have?
Any questions? All right, I have a question, but it has to be seen, so we can talk about that 10.2. Okay.
It would just be a motion to receive the work information.
Okay, we have a motion to take that, Kurt. Moved by Marie, all in favor? Now, do we have a trail report?
So I'll start with this. So the trail report, what we're going to do is, because we do have some new members with our schedule, we were hoping that we could pair up previous members with current members and add this to our schedule. And then if the committee is in agreement, then this would be our meeting schedule and trail report moving forward. I apologize, these meetings aren't attached to the agenda. We can add that as additional at the end. But these are what our dates look like. The only change for May, due to the long weekend, this was pushed back one Monday. So that's the only date that's outside of our terms of reference for Monday meeting. And then again, no meetings in July, August, or December. So we're just hoping that we could use this as time to add people who will do trail reports moving forward.
Well, I think the only new member is, sorry, the name.
Jillian.
Yeah, I made everybody else around the table have done trail reports before. Yes.
Okay.
So I think we only need to pair her up on her first one. And she should be just pretty good. So you'd like to assign names to these dates now? Okay, anybody want to volunteer? I can do the April one.
I can do the March one. And I'll try and involve Jillian before then.
Okay.
Do you want to do it in pairs, or do you want to, like last time, you
Oh, yeah.
split it, remember, so each did half now, I'm not sure what you want to do again, but that's.
Does that make sense to people? Split it up. Got an extensive network now, potentially getting bigger. So, okay, anybody, let's do, who would like to, well, Maureen, do you think, you could do it with Jillian, you could take her on your half and then leave her to do the other half.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, she knows the trail
Yeah.
system really well, so I would do the parts that I had with Junior.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do Maureen and Jillian. And so with April, second member,
I can go.
can you please?
Yeah,
spell it? Yeah.
AGOSTIN. You've got the T after
Thank you.
Nothing worse than 12 people staring at.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay, for May. Two members.
I'll do it.
Okay.
You'll send these out afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. Okay,
Oh,
February one.
wonderful. Is this the correct last name? or do you-
Till 6.
February.
Oh,
February's going around right now, so you don't get to do that one.
it would be, the next is June.
Oh.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the correct spelling?
L after the S. Lee.
Like, and then you keep this, okay, perfect. But we will take you off of this one. So for June, there are two members. Okay,
Mike, can I?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
Someone want to go with Counselor next?
Sure, yeah, I was going up and check. I have to do my, my dog strangling on thing around them anyway.
perfect.
Just for clarity, is the intention that we are out together, or is it that we're splitting the work?
we're splitting. Just like last.
No, of course you work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then nothing for July, August, September.
Yeah, no, good, yeah.
Okay,
I'll do September.
that is
Jackson.
October is fine for me, as
thank you.
far as I know.
Scary, maybe.
I can do it.
Or
I'm wondering, should we,
if we do Jillian.
Jillian, that's what I'm thinking. And if those dates don't work for Jillian, we can work with the committee to rearrange.
Do you like us giving you the heads up at the end of each meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll continue that.
But 2 weeks before the meeting.
Okay.
And so then for November,
I can-
perfect, thank you.
You and Gary want to do that one together?
That's fine. Yeah.
That makes it simple. All right, so we'll keep this for the 2023. Is there any conflicts at this time? No. Okay, wonderful. So then if we could have a motion to, I guess we'll look to approve the schedule and trail report.
Yeah, can we have a motion to approve the minutes? And- Second by Dave. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, moving on to the general business. 1.1 Millbrook.
All right, I just want to give everybody an update on what the club's been up to. So we have a very busy fall and actually winter so far. We've had a meeting since really the end of September. So,
Can we just get you to explain for the group what MBT is?
okay, so yeah, so our, this is the local mountain bike club. It's called Millbrook MTB. MTB is not a specific acronym, but it's sort of a short form for mountain bike.
Okay, thanks. I just watched, like, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
No, until we should back it up, I think it's important to explain this for our audience that's viewing online.
The odd person. So this is our third season that we'll be going to this spring. So we're a not-for-profit club and corporation. We had 172 members this past year, and our board of directors is now 10 people. So we are growing. But mostly, I just wanted to give an update on some of the activity that we've had the last 5 months. So the club now owns a snow dog groomer. And so we've been grooming the trails on the MNR property with permission from the MNR over the winter. And so that's primarily geared towards people who are riding fat bikes, which are fat tire mountain bikes that are usually ridden in the winter, but also for everyone's benefit. Perhaps not to the benefit of the snowshoers who might like Dutch powder, but I think most other people appreciate having that. So that's been happening this winter and will probably continue this week, snowfall. And we hope to do that each year in the future, but we'll check in. Normally we would check in with the trails to let you know that we're thinking of doing it and make sure that that's okay. It's property with involved in Valley trails as well as two trails there. Or Bike Club. So that's one. And so I just want to point out because the committee wasn't in place when we had that first heavy snowfall in December, that there was a fair bit of trail damage that we had to clear. So it was the weight of all the heavy snow just caused a bunch of small cedars and things to really lean in. And then unfortunately got frozen in place. And so if you notice things have been cut, those snap trees out there as you're doing the trail report, it's probably related to this big heavy snowfall. So we had volunteers on that pretty quickly, and trails were useful shortly after that. It was a good sized job. Also in the fall, we started building 2 new trails on the MMR property. So this was something that we had talked about as a committee some time ago, and then it ended up being the mountain bike club that went ahead with the project. And so we refer to it as our beginner trail. So it's really just a beginner-oriented uphill trail. So to prevent people from getting discouraged and walking their bike and hating that biking. So we have that trail's near completion, and then we have what we're referring to as like a beginner or kids skills loop that will be just off the rail. That'll be a short loop with some rollers, just fun stuff for everybody to ride their bike over. So that one's been started, but we'll finish that off in the spring. And so those are ongoing. We do hope to be able to apply for a permit to extend one other trail and potentially build another one in the fall. And I think that will be the end of the trail building on that property. There's so much space, but when we go to apply for that permit, it's all not anywhere. We're also shooting for new signage. So there are actually 6 trails on the MR property that are different from the Millbrook Valley trails that complement the network. And so the Mountain Bike Club, so we're going to be would like to start identifying those trails with proper signage indicating a trail name, potential description, difficulty level, distance, if I didn't say that already. And so we hope to put that up, those types of signs, just on some of our trails on the property, and we'd be happy to work with the community to do similar signs on the other village trails that are on the property. So that's something we can work together on, but we have started that process ourselves. And same thing would apply to trailhead signage, and that's been kind of for a while, so that we can, if there's an opportunity for us to collaborate on the trailhead signage, or have complementary trailhead signage, that's going to be an addition for as a club committee.
Can I just clarify though, if you mean like by the parking lot?
By the parking lot is exactly that. And I think part of the thinking there is that in our latest trail brochure we have what we think of as like the Millbrook entity trails now instead of just other trails, but the list of other trails is growing, and so it might be nice to work together if we can to identify all those trails by name. It works. So that's more of a heads up on things that are coming. So yeah, I guess I've moved on from what we've been up to what we're looking to see. But with our new trails, we're also thinking about invasive species spraying, poison ivy, and there's kind of aim to cover the cost of spraying ourselves, our new trails together. If we can put it all one outing, Sean, Ironwood, whoever we use. But we're happy to contribute to those costs on that. And then I guess the maybe where I'll look to make a motion is that, as a club, we hope to be able to use the mountain biking rendered portion of the Millbrook Valley Trails for group rides and workshops, again, this spring, summer, fall. But would seek the blessing of the Valley Trails Committee ahead of doing that. So our group rides schedule, we usually begin in June and go until the end of September. Just that's when we have the most daylight. And in the past, we've done a co-ed ride every Tuesday night and a women's ride every Wednesday night. And I think this year we're looking at doing those rides on Tuesday and Thursday evenings instead. And then the odd, maybe Saturday morning workshop where we either have an instructor or just club members helping people work on specific skills, or we might meet in the parking lot and then head out to the trails. So no competitive race-oriented events. We don't do that. Just getting people together, social stuff, skill building. So that's all I have there. If there's any questions to them.
Just have a comment. I mean, it's made it so, and it's attracted people for winter walking that we didn't have before, of all ages. And it's great to see there are a number of people who are spending an hour and a half every day on the trail. Just to keep their spirits up through COVID and winter months. So that's great to see. I wondered though, is there any reason why this dog hasn't been used to the Elgar Circle from the top of Meadow? It was at first, and just lately they haven't been doing it.
Oh, okay. If it was at first, it might have been a mistake. We haven't asked for permission to do anything that's on the township property.
Fair enough.
We'll probably do that in the future if it were.
Yeah.
Just the way things came together, the materials which may not be in place. It's a chance to ask, but so the idea is we're strictly on the M&R and not making the fairgrounds connection and not making the Elgar working connections at all. But to do this in the future. The Elgar one would really help. It's an access.
It would, yeah. If parking is better here, it's easier not to be on side line, all side. Yeah.
That's not considered an alcohol because it's on the line.
Yes, correct. The property is.
You mentioned some transit signage and some other info signage. We just finished grading all the signs on the Jackson Creek Trail, and we have a really neat accessibility panel, and it tells you the grade, the difficulty, the slope, the surface thing. I can share that with you if you'd like. Yeah, it's really neat, and it has to be mounted. I've got all the specs on like the distance for it to be AOP compliant and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, happy to share that.
That would be to you think a parking lot. Do we have that sort of thing? Or actually,
That I don't know. You just mentioned putting information in about threads, things like that. So those I can share. Really, I can share information with you. You there and went through it. So yeah, we're happy to share.
Yeah, I think it's possible that like as we're doing signage for the club that I can wear both hats and make other Valley Trail signage. I'm different logos. If that works. I don't know how the committee would want to approach that because in a sense, we're doing something and we're saying it's with us, but it has to already say that's done out there. But I think it'd be fantastic where if it was one country, so yeah, I'm not going to.
No, I agree. Fine.
But I guess the motion I was looking, and just stop me if I'm not the one to make this motion, but I wanted to make a motion to support Millbrook to be using the mountain biking portions of the Millbrook Valley Trails for their rides, workshops. So.
You're already doing it. We have the committee.
Yeah, but I don't think that we have the ability to just do that every year?
No, I think to be fair, that's a pretty big ask to ask this committee. So I think if we want to coordinate a meeting with you and staff and potentially the chair, if the committee wants to approve it with the intent or principle, but I don't think, to be fair, I think we need to look at some of the legals and logistics of just saying yes to all of this. To be completely fair, like there's something going off in my stomach saying that I don't want to send this committee down this path because I think we need to take this offside. So I think if the committee likes the idea and they want to support it in principle, there's no problem. But I think the second part of that recommendation is that David, as well as the chair, meets with staff, mostly our CAO and insurance, and kind of figure what the logistics of that looks like.
Yeah, this is what we did last year, and there were probably some steps involved with that.
Absolutely, there are, yeah. We can't just say yes, because as we know, Gary uses it, like a lot of people use it for lots of things, and lots of nonprofit people use it. So I think, to be fair, we have to make sure we've done all our I's and crossed our T's. I think it's great, like I'm not saying any of that, this whole committee has agreed with all of that, but I don't think it's fair that this committee makes that decision, has to go to council. I think it needs to go to the staff first. Definitely has to go to council before.
Follow up with Rob for the next steps.
Sure, definitely, and then we can make a meeting with the vet, and then we'll probably have to do a delegation to council to see if council wants to take on that liability and what that understanding looks like by allowing another entire organization to do joint signage, joint grooming, joint all of that, like, I don't
Well,
know.
I think at this point, Dave's just looking for permission to use for the group.
Yeah, we have our own insurance for the grads, we just want, if we're going to be using the trails, we just want to let the community know ahead of time. And seek that approval.
Yeah, so is that something that council?
So what
needs to
went through,
approve?
I feel like when we did this last time, you had to meet with the vet, there was a lot of discussion, like, I don't, am I, maybe I'm wrong, like, maybe I'm missing this, but I thought that we had to have more discussion than it just coming.
Yeah, there was a meeting like this with them. I do recall like fighting for insurance, so that was an additional step.
I mean, I'm not saying that we don't need to go down the road, but I guess my confusion is that if I jump on that mountain bike now, I can ride those trails now.
At your own leisure, yes, you can.
So what's the difference between me doing it and then inviting 10 people to do it on Tuesday?
I think we just talked about holding Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday organized events. So what if you have every group within Calamon come to you and saying this group and can't approve everybody, right? I think we have to be truthful and be honest about what we're willing to take on. And I'm not saying that your committee or any of the other nonprofit organizations shouldn't be given this opportunity, but I don't know if this committee has the ability to say yes to one group over others.
Okay, so Dave and I would need to meet with the vet.
I think that would be our first step. If definitely the committee can support it in principle, I'm not saying that. I just don't want us to say yes at this committee and then David start doing something and us not have the right to be able to do that.
Okay, so do I need a motion to say if we approve the principle at this point, or do we come back with that meeting?
Whichever you would like to do, but I think whatever the motion has, it has to be that we also, the chair and David on behalf of the Millbrook MBT meet with that.
Okay.
Before any joint signs are made, any joint grooming, any joint incorporating it into the brochure, like there was a lot of components of what David just shared with the group. It wasn't just Tuesday, Wednesday, that.
Oh, I understand all that.
Yeah.
But again, that comes in time. I think, again, the motion was just about these getting our blessing to do the compliance.
Then I would suggest you include a follow-up meeting with staff before.
Okay, so could I ask you to look at?
Definitely,
sometime
yeah, definitely we can, yeah.
in the vet's calendar?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave and I to-
Definitely, absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions for Dave? Okay, great, thanks very much. 10.2.
We need a mover and a second
Yeah,
for the
so
motion.
if Dave has made the motion, we just would need a mover and a seconder and the committee to vote. The motion I have drafted is that the Millbrook Valley Trails Advisory Committee support the MTB bicycle group to operate their workshops on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening, from June to September. The only piece that I'm not sure about is the workshops, because those are miscellaneous. I think we would need dates, but that could be worked out with staff.
That's what I was suggesting, holding the motion until the end.
Okay, so then that would need, there's no,
So the motion would be to coordinate a meeting with the chair and David Davis, you know, speak with staff to discuss
the,
having workshops and, yeah.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, and so you need a mover and a seconder.
to coordinate, yeah. Thank you.
Second. All in favor? Great, thank you. Okay, 10.2 orca seeding order. So my first question is when an HB in?
March 19th, I would encourage you to get them to possibly, we are running out of week.
Okay, so I just brought up our invoice from last year. Last year we spent $299.45, and we ordered 25 seedlings of Beb's willow, 25 seedlings of nannyberry, 25 seedlings of gray dogwood, and 25 seedlings of shadblow serviceberry. Yeah, for a total of 235 plus taxes for 299.45. So I guess my other question is, with inflation, has it having to do prices gone?
They probably all gone up. I might recommend that if we can identify the location, that might be a good starting point, and we can choose the right species. I can certainly check availability while we're talking. I know what we're sold out of.
Okay, well, I would defer to Maureen.
Yeah, so all of we did, all 3 or 4 of them were tried, and they do well, we put them in. My feeling is that I would want to assess how much the partial and bridge transportation goes down. I imagine that in order to that will probably be able to say.
Right, well, we'll know by Thursday morning, right? So March 13th? 19th, but understanding that as soon as, but I think it's probably fair to wait a few days to start to see. What's not available?
Elderberry, so the bitternut hickory, black cherry, black walnut, fir oak, choke cherry, Kentucky coffee, Norway spruce, and oak, and sycamore.
Okay, so nothing that we ordered last year.
If you'd like, Maureen, you and I can chat after. Okay. If you want to see what everything looks like after the bridge installation. Okay, so we can make a touch up on Monday next week. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put you over together. Okay.
So do we want to do set limit tonight then? We'll let you do the order based on your recommendations and input from committee members. So last year was $300 including, so do we want to do a 300 this year again, or 350, or what are people think?
How much we anticipate? We ordered the same thing, is it like 10% or 50%?
It depends on the species. So you may want to go, if that was $299 last year, you may want to go with an offset and go 400, just so you felt.
Well, do you have prices there?
I do not.
So what's Doug's Willow running this year?
Willow is $50 a unit.
Oh.
25 people.
Well, last year was 70. You're getting a deal with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Last year was 60, 325 people. 65, okay. Gray dogwood was 30 per unit.
Gray is $33.50.
Okay, and shallow serviceberry was 70 per unit.
So is 60.
Wow,
We're saving.
you're getting cheaper.
So do you want to,
No.
we want to keep it at 300 then? We can order more for the same price. Or I mean, it's up to you. You guys make,
Yeah.
you guys make a motion. I mean,
I think that might be actually. I think you may want to go 350 just because you're going to have tax and the shipping, and packing and handling fees on top of that. So I just want to make sure you've got enough. 350 done.
we have a motion for 350. Yes. Lance, who wants the second? I'll second. Dave. All in favor of 350? All right. Thanks, Maureen, for your help on that. Thank you. Putting it through now. this year, did we pick up the same, but we'll actually be able to walk in beyond?
We'll still be picking up from my Google. Yeah, I will.
And then we can, we usually come in around May.
Yeah, we'll be gone last weekend.
Yes.
Just a little bit weather dependent when the nursery.
So yeah, most of you remember that historically, we plant those. So it's good to get them. Great. Okay, any other questions on the seating order?
Harley, I'll follow up with you directly, and so we can arrange, how to work through my new online payments.
No problem.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay. 10.3, 2023 work plan. So,
I think I'd like to add, we recognize this is quite a dated work plan. We're working from quite a few months back. This has just been something that we've carried forward. And so looking to the committee from a staff level, looking to the committee, if you do have any updates, please let me know, because again, this document is fairly dated at this point, but it's your main tool that you use to guide your closed out documents. So any updates on your section, or if we're missing something, then we can have it, and we'll have that for the next meeting.
Like,
Yes, and we may have to reassign subcommittee project.
you want us to go through each of these? And
It depending on how everyone feels, if there's something that's standing out, tell me now. Otherwise, just if you could let us know before the posting of the next agenda, then we can incorporate those changes. And really just how the members are feeling their time.
Well, I had a list, which is sort of more pointed. One is brochures, where brochures, and then brochures to allow. We need brochures. Those expertise perhaps on the other shops, make a big change. Those brochures before we work them, so we need to set again, and set them up, getting some brochures printed tonight. Then I'm going back to David's update. I want to get the signage done. Hopefully this year, we need to start thinking about it. But that in turn leads to another point of, existing trails, new trail. With the floating bridge in place, are we going to continue? We're going to reassess the old trail, because the Beaver Dam sort of shifted, and so from the old trail, do we still want to do the trail that we had planned for a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, that skips over the creek and goes below the fairgrounds and meets up at the bottom of the hill there by the fairgrounds? There's no reason we can't have both. Does it make sense? What are we going to do about that? The existing trail on the Beaver Dams is going to get washed out again. Tools. We've got a new budget approved this evening. Is there any tools that people think we need? We've still got a very healthy power tools and hand tools, but it might be something that we need. Just in my walking of the trails over the last few months, I'm wondering if we need to do a bridge replacement, first bridge on Winter Meadows. It certainly needs a few decking boards replaced in the immediate sense, but it's a little rickety. It's one of the originals, and isn't one of the ones you maybe think about replacing with steel. We already have the I-beams in the works shed there. And then do we, going back to the trails again, mansion is something I'd like to get done as council, talking to management continues. But then other priorities to place before that.
Sorry, what is it you're saying?
Mansion.
Mansion, okay.
Yeah. I think supposed to be table.
No, yes.
Yeah, by the.
Yeah.
So we've done a considerable amount of homework around that already. So it's just it's probably not as easy as just pulling the trigger and doing it. We're probably 80% more are there in terms of the administrative work that we need to do for that. And then I just had other questions around, I believe it was in our September meeting, we had a proposal about, was it the Peaks Run? Some sort of run that they were gonna hold in June.
Yes, so for 5 peaks, because this was our first meeting in our orientation, I'll offer them the opportunity to come to this meeting. However, we will be reaching out to let them know that our regular meetings have resumed and allow them to prepare a presentation and come back to the committee.
Was that proposed for June, the actual run itself? June or July?
The dates, I have to be honest, the dates did change. I can go back and circulate to the committee, but I know what was brought forward to council through the presentation ended up changing. So we will probably have to reassess the request ask and just see what the actual dates are, and then whether it needs to come to the committee and council or how we're gonna flow that.
Okay, and then Dave, if you know, is there going to be another bike rally this year? Do you know anything about that yet?
I think they're planning on doing it, separate from us, but but I don't know what the access is to the Nebraska.
Yeah.
Area.
Okay, and so those were just a few of my thoughts over the last few weeks in prep for this meeting. But certainly if people have other thoughts or directives in addition to the work plan.
The stairs by the fairground entrance, with those giving way as well, we'll have to address that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff we'll have to put on the work plan, but I think a lot of that work, I mean, some of it we know already, but it's going to become apparent. See, I mean, obviously, it's nothing we can do now.
Yeah.
It's supposed to get even more snow tonight, as Chris said, so it'll be a while. But yeah. Obviously, we need to start thinking about what needs to be done in the immediate future and what needs to be a project or projects or work day. And what needs to be sort of more long term.
Does that require a bit more breadth, given like those past skills of volunteers here?
Well, I think the stairs are probably going to be better stairs. But yeah, something. You know, probably not a workday question because it would be a separate project. We've done it before. A lot of people are on this table. I think we know what we're doing. But yeah, it's not something we could do per day. Yeah, it takes some coordination. But those are just off the top of my head. And they're necessarily what priorities are in draft. So if anybody has any other thoughts.
I was telling Lance that I'll take him on a exploratory tour where they mentioned this in June for a walk together. I also want to say that one point before Lance was going to be a council member, he and I went for a walk to show him where the entrance of the North Trail expansion would be. We chose to go in that direction. So we didn't venture onto privately held land or anything like that, but show them the art of where the trail possibly goes. But I have to admit, I myself have not been on that privately held land. I only know of it mythically for some of the sort of evolutionary geography that has happened there. There's nice little glacial some things like that that are quite interesting and historically heritage geology on an old farm there. So it would be lovely to explore that and see what we can do to protect that land, even if we're not actually making, actual plans to build the trail this year.
Clarify exactly where it's walking.
It's essentially, yeah, if you were to follow, remember in your mind where a lot of our Millbrook children took swimming lessons, so where the north-south straight route of the railway that is not part of our trail.
Yeah.
Meets Paulus Line approximately exactly opposite that on Paulus Line to the north, where we could enter. It's now been quite a bit. But, you know, because it's involved, you know, where if we don't need to protect that land, to save the trail. So, so anything that we can do to investigate who actually owns this, and whether or not they'd be interested in conservancy of some sort that would allow us to have trails go through. Might be interesting. It's an idea.
Anybody else have any immediate thoughts or wishes? Desires that they want to try to accomplish this year in the next 4 years?
For me, like, get bridge
Yep.
Yeah.
done. Personally, I'm then sure, and the actually, you option of the trail that got roughed in, across the old people down. Yeah, I know, I think at least this year probably going up on our hand for getting that, get the trail reopened, maybe. Actually, great, replacing that first bridge on over there. Building up this year.
Yeah.
Three things on the table.
Yeah. And I think and once we assess, once the snow melts and we assess the damage and what needs to be done, we can start thinking about ordering wood. We've got a fair bit of wood still at the shed, at the yard, but you know, it will probably go pretty quickly. And we haven't ordered wood 2 years. The last time we ordered it. And sorry, this might not be the correct to bring it up, but it does. So last fall, when those of you that have been to or driven by the new yard, there's a nice new garage there. But in the process of putting that garage in, we had some supplies. We had some supplies at the back of the yard, flagstone and some screenings, some screenings, which have now been, which are not there. To work with the township, so to see, you know, we don't need them now, obviously, but we did buy in bulk per se, and to sort of have those. And we'll need to sort of think about replacing those when the weather sort of turns to us.
These by the law.
Yeah.
It is a back part of there, the gate is a lot worse than third place.
So it wasn't like Fort Knox where someone broke us.
No.
But which I think they regraded it, and some of it sort of just got integrated. Yeah.
A lot of factors into it. There's a lot of cleanup of the area, and creating stuff that you get rid of.
It looks great.
It's probably from the screening.
Yeah, I'm sure it's there somewhere. Take forward, isn't it? No, so that's fine, but you know, I just wanted to make people aware that, you know, that stock is not on hand as it was before, so we need to put thought into ordering more and that sort of thing. So, okay, so I would say for the work plan, you know, let's have some thought over the next month or March 27th meeting about maybe what people want to do, and we can have a review of the work plan if there's any specifics, and we can let the attention prior to the meeting. I think, as I said, I would maybe like to earmark some money to get some brochures printed, because people have been asking for brochures, and I think we all know once the snow melts and people start using the trails, they start to go pretty quick. So it'd be nice to have them on hand and ready. So we want to set a limit. This is sort of, you know, one of these things, we're sort of buying them we haven't been buying them sort of thousands and thousands at a time because they're still in flux, right? We still don't know what sort of trails are going to be opened or closed and that sort of thing. So we didn't want to make that commitment. So we've been buying them sort of,
I think 500, you've been buying them into this.
well, quantities of 500 to 1,000, I think.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I was wondering about setting up something limit of about $500. And just sort of going from there. Does that make sense? Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe Kirk, I'll work with you. Quickly, just to change a bit of wording. Because just a print doesn't let you do it. That doesn't do it. So, okay, so can I set a motion for an upset of $500 for printing a new brochure? John, second by Matt, all in favor? Okay.
Just ask a question about the work plan. I think it's some longer term results that we would accomplish here.
Yeah, we just have a document.
And so for clarification, this will just be the original brochure that you have, and then if the committee decides to include new trails, then that will be updated after.
Yeah, it's a version, it's a version.
Yeah, okay. We just got it updated on the website, so we don't,
Okay.
keep not getting, but remember all the. So if it's the same link, that makes a difference to us. We just want to make sure. That there's nothing to change on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some wording changes, but we could provide you. It's not going to be fair. Okay, any other questions on the 2022 report? No? Okay, so we're on 10.4 items for next meeting. John.
Mr. Chairman, we get a report from staff about Ganaraska, maybe an update from Ganaraska, their plans, which is fine, we're not limited to Ganaraska.
So I believe.
So what I'll say from the staff perspective, and this was, I want to say back to September, October, we did have a meeting, staff had a meeting with Ganaraska Forest, and there is going to be some more information coming forward. We have in 3 groups since we did an initial walk through the trails, but there will be some more information. My understanding, I believe actually through Councillor Natchop's verbal report that the Ganaraska Forest is still closed.
Yeah. So
And
just the last 2 meetings, the first one was to approve the budget for the year. The most recent one was discussing the feasibilities of being able to open up the trails that haven't been open since then. And at this point, they were giving a potential opening best case scenario of like mid-summer to the start of fall, but it's kind of like a target on that end of things. But it works out perfectly that these ones happen prior to our meetings here, so I can refer directly to you guys as well.
And so we have reached out with our CAO as well to request another meeting with Ganaraska staff. I don't have a date at this time, but I believe after that, I think we will have more information for the committee. So there is some working items going on in the background, but to your question then with the trail expansion, or you just want to report back on Ganaraska?
Well, it's, I understood it, we used to link to Ganaraska trails are closed there.
Right.
There was some question as to whether the linkage area would be closed off. And so that's a concern that I had, because I don't think we were harming Ganaraska through what we were doing. It'd be nice to keep that going. I understand there are other issues at play that make it difficult for Ganaraska. So partly that, and partly it costs.
My question. They brought that into consideration.
And then the other part is whether they have any concerns about us linking. I don't see how they can. Well, they had concerns about parking if we took our access to Ganaraska or to Morgan. But it seems to me because the other trails are already using the fire route north till it becomes Morgan. Makes sense that we should be able to link that without harming Ganaraska conservation. Anyway, clarity on that one.
So definitely our trails are still in place. Our trails are open right now. Where the challenge is that Ganaraska's trails are closed. So we will work with Ganaraska and we'll bring back, if it's not going to be March, through the chair will notify you when we can bring that forward, but we can certainly get an update on what's happening.
I guess the concern was there was to be a 100-meter buffer between our trail and any of theirs. At one point that was proposed, so there would no longer be any connection between the Alaska and our trail. Is there any update on that?
None of that was mentioned in our last meeting. Yeah,
It's outlined in the cover document.
Is that just to allow them safe access and because of tree fall concerns or anything else?
It didn't specifically target us, but it did apply to us with really that for central forest, that they wanted all users to be, when it did reopen, the recovery plan, that all users would enter central forest through the Alaska Forest Center and all other access points. They were working towards a peaceful allowances as well. Would ideally be stopped at any of their existing trails within central forest would have a 100-meter no trail buffer around it to separate it from any other potential access points. So that would separate our access and then all the residents directly who are around the forest, and they would need their access to, everyone was expected to drive around.
that was discussed as far as the central access and accessibility point, and then more information was to follow up on potential out into the area. We consider doing openings in other areas or not. So I'll just run through as well. I'm new to that as well, so it's sit and listen. But
Yeah, I think, in my understanding, the Garrison of course was looking for some help, for volunteers to apply in their cleanup efforts. And certainly for me, I'd like to know who will have access to the forest without ever going to the forest center, because that affects my motivation.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry, that's just because you seem to be more in the know. You had mentioned that some trails were not expected to open until midsummer or fall. So within central forest, or was that?
More the northern side. So because that was the areas that were most directly affected, so they have a lot of the widowmaker trees in place still. That's the issue, where it's just having the resources available to tackle, and they were trying to kind of be smart enough to try to tackle a specific trail and do that as completely as they could to get it open, instead of piecemeal, like we'll do this one, we'll do that one, and then like, there's no certainty. So I think that they're trying to kind of probably have a better release date in place for, like, just to keep things simple, like trail 1 would be open by maybe the end of May, trail 2 maybe be open at the end of July, trail 3, trail 4 until like everything would be open. Best case scenario, like maybe start of the fall. So but it could be better. Like it's really weather permitting was a lot of what was happening. So I have such a wet, such a not as cold winter. It was actually a negative for them to be able to get out and access the more rural road areas.
So when you say the northern, you mean the northern portion
Of their trails,
of central forest?
yeah, of the non-forest.
Because I do know they have their cross-country ski loops open. But,
If you want to meet with me and ask specifically where that you're wanting to look at, then I can definitely look at the map. Sure that that's you're all speaking the same language.
yeah, I think that the greatest concern is the buffer line between the forest boundaries. That's what affects us as a committee. Because the impact of that decision is that any transit user would be trespassing if they were trying to enter an existing area of forest. Full trail area. That would be the challenge. But it'd be nice to get clarity.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Are people just out of interest that biking as far as the Tory Bridge.
Yeah, Kurt's had some, Kurt's been, I think they would if it was a low snow year or if the snow was packed. But, yeah, any amount of snow, 1 to 2 centimeters. Gets that.
If anyone has any additional questions that they want me to make sure I ask for any following meetings, just shoot me an email with your specific questions.
This isn't the user, these are this is the.
I'm on their board. I replaced with Tim Gulfwood's position. as the
Okay, great, thank you. I know for next meeting again, so we talked about what we want to do with the new bridge. Well, we encourage everybody to get out and look after Thursday, maybe, and see what they think, and put together some thoughts and what we're going to do, how that sort of stuff. If you're there, it's in place, snap some pictures, so we can make an initial story in over time. Speaking of over time, maybe excuse my ignorance. I haven't read the article yet, but I saw a headline that said new cell towers proposed or coming to Millbrook. Do we know if does that affect the trail? Not at all. Okay. No.
I would say those questions we could direct to our director of planning, Nick Karen Ellen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Location. Okay, that's great.
What I'm most likely to believe in this one specifically will in their cabinets.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts on any items they'd like to add to the next meeting?
So, we have a Middle Valley Trails Facebook page that Alex, John, and myself, mostly Alex and John look after. Okay, they're no longer in the committee. Decide if someone else wants to do that, or the township would like to take that page instead. But we can talk about that next.
Did you have admin access to them now?
I currently do that.
We don't need to get that transferred. Okay.
Have you taken the people that were previously on it out of the bid?
No.
Should come.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know these people. I'm sure they would.
Also, we're
maybe we should get on there. Or.
Do you mind if we actually take this back as staff just to see if we have a social media policy or if anything's covered off? I'm not sure. We do have a staff person dedicated to social media. I actually wasn't aware of the Facebook group, so I just want to make sure we're following all the proper procedures. And so maybe we'll add that either as an item or a takeaway. And that certainly we will follow up as staff on before we make.
Do we have an Instagram account?
So we'll hold off on making anything new. Yeah. I know. So just give us, we'll have an answer for next meeting.
I have a question. At some point, early in winter, I noticed for the first time the sign at the our trail and prohibiting camping, building, whatever, I forget all the things, and certainly fire campfires, I think. Now, did that go up? It's a cab mounted sign. Did that go up because in that specific location because someone had been doing that?
We put it out in a lot of persons. We did have two issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what is we have had as well on net and perhaps at, on Fairground Trail? Should we be posting there as well?
So you mean like the board or,
Yeah.
so this was within the actual part of it?
Okay. Well, that's sure. Yes. Okay. All right. No.
Okay, well, if you want to add items for the next agenda, you can have it into the township by 2 weeks before, a week before?
So we are doing our very best to follow our procedural bylaw for posting date. So if you could at least do a week before our next meeting, that gives us enough time to address with the chair as well, or do some follow-up, but the sooner the better is always appreciated.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns?
Okay, Charlie, did you get all of those signatures?
Anyone who I'm missing, I'll grab you just after.
All right, next meeting, March 27th, 2023, here, 4 p.m. Thanks very much, everybody. Nice to see everybody in person after all these years. Thanks for your commitment. Looking forward to another great term. Can I have a motion for adjournment? Yes. By John, in favor? Thank you very much. Where?